Hi, I'm Jason Odell from luminescentphoto.com, and I'm here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I've got a new lens to try out. I want to review this lens. I've been using it for the past couple of weeks. I got a sample from site sponsor B&H Photo, and that's the, comes in a great gold box. This is the 300 millimeter f4E PF-ED VR Nikkor lens. So this is a Nikon prime 300 millimeter lens, and it's an updated version of what has long been an excellent budget wildlife lens, and that was the original Nikon 300 millimeter f4 AFS. That lens did not have VR. This one adds two new major design elements. The first and the obvious one is vibration reduction or stabilization. The other interesting concept in this lens is the design. The PF designation in this alphabet soup here designates that this is what's called a phase Fresnel design. There's a Fresnel lens element. If you've ever heard of Fresnel lens, it's spelled, looks like it's spelled Fresnel. It's a Fresnel lens, and this is the kind of lens you might see in a lighthouse, the glass plates in a lighthouse lamp. Now, the way those lenses work is that they focus different wavelengths of light at different distances, so that has some corrective elements. But the upshot of that optics there is that this lens right here is extremely small and light. This is a wonderfly small lens. I mean, look at this thing. Its actual dimensions here are, I've got the specs written down. This is a it's a 26 ounce lens, so it's about 2 pounds. It's nothing if you put it on a decent body, so extremely hand holdable. On the side, you have all the features that you might expect. So we've got the 3-position focus switch, the AM, which is autofocus with manual override, so you can full-time manually override the focus. You've got manual focus with autofocus override, and then straight manual focus. It's got a focus limiter switch, full range, and then 3 meters to infinity. And then the VR switch, off, the normal VR, and what's called sport mode VR. And sport mode VR is actually quite useful if you're hand holding and trying to follow around moving subjects. That's the mode you're going to want to use most of the time. The normal VR is when you're trying to handhold on more of a stationary subject, slower shutter speeds. It's gonna lock in. I've used both modes, and I found the Sport VR mode to be really wonderful. Now, this lens has a 77 millimeter filter thread, so you can put filters on it if you want. But I would think most of the time you're going to use this lens for wildlife, birding, or action sports. The f4 aperture, constant. Very nice design. It allows you to use a teleconverter. If you put the Nikon TC-14E on this lens, it becomes a 420 millimeter lens f5.6. Now this lens is very good design. I've tested it. I've got some sample images. Wide open. It's very sharp. I didn't need to use any focus calibration on it. It focuses really fast, both with and without a teleconverter. So here's the hood, just bayonet mounts on there, and you've got yourself a nice compact rig. Let's see how this feels on the camera body. So here's my new D500, and I just got the MBD17 battery grip, which I like. Put this on here, and what you've got is an incredibly easy to handhold telephoto lens. Now, if you're using this lens on a D500 or a D7200, a DX Nikon body, it becomes a 450 millimeter lens, and if that's the angle of view. And if you put the teleconverter on it, the 1.4, you get a 630 millimeter effective focal length that has VR stabilization, and you can handheld. And I've got a shot that I took that we'll take a look at of some examples. I've got a shot of a bird in my yard where I used the teleconverter, tack sharp, really worked great. So what I have found is that this lens is really meant to be handheld, although you can purchase a tripod collar as an accessory if you want to use it on a tripod or probably a monopod. Because keep in mind, even though this is a small and light lens, it's still a telephoto lens, especially if you're using on a crop DX sensor. So you're going to want to support it like you would a larger lens. The lens also includes a soft pouch with a strap, instruction manual, and warranty card. So let's take a look at a couple sample images from this lens. But it's a really great lens. In fact, really the only downside of this lens at all is its price. It's about a $2,000 lens at B&H. That's for the US model. So it's a little bit on the pricey side, but the results speak for themselves. This lens does a wonderful job for anything that you want to handhold action sports wise. And I think for a lot of people who shoot high school sports, anything that's not maybe at night, you're going to really like this lens. So once again, that is the Nikon AFS 300mm f4E PF ED telephoto prime lens. Check out my website at luminescentphoto.com.